Coming up on this episode of the Village Idiom.
Second wind, when I break my first wind, I need then I definitely need a second one.
Dum dum da da, Village Idiom.
Hello and welcome to the Village Idiom.
We are a podcast that every week chooses a popular saying to take a hopefully comedic, but for sure shallow,
Here's hoping.
and once in a while even interesting, dive into its meaning, its usage, its origin.
Here's hoping.
But we're also going to use it to hang our otherwise directionless conversation on. My name is
Here's
Jurassic
hoping.
Mark.
I'm Skitty. That is so close. The intro is so close to being its own kind of like beatboxy moment. I think you could fill it in.
Like we should just vamp over it.
Yeah, we should do
But
that.
then it gets mellow here. Maybe.
Maybe the other part, the opening part.
Okay, so
for some other week, we
here
could
we
just
go, you ready?
we could jack it up. This prior.
What I was going to say is, do you have a specific time of the day where you're like, yeah, every day I hit the wall and I look at the time and it's the same time? Do you have that
It's 3 o'clock. Yeah.
Yeah, it's 3 o'clock.
It's 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
So the encouragement is to go for the walk around the office or
Is that
something
what
like
you do?
that.
Is that you do something to actually wake yourself up
Sometimes I just pull down the blind
and give in?
and succumb to the moment.
All right, wall, 3 o'clock wall, you win.
Welcome, wall. It's
Yeah,
that
but
time
if you
of
push
day.
through, you just keep on working, and suddenly it goes away. And that's,
You have to do something to shock your system.
you think?
Yeah, you get a little system shock in there, and you're good to like at least 7.
See,
8.
I don't think about the shock. I think about just don't give in. Don't pull the blind down, and I get my.
I can
Hey, she's got her second wind now.
I definitely can have that sleeping sitting up moment.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a gift. It's like a gift from God. Like he said, I'm not going to give you good looks. I'm not going to give you a great intellect, but I'm going to let you sleep.
I'm gonna give you a way to rejuvenate.
Yeah, at 3 o'clock every
That's
day.
Really funny.
Thank you, Lord. So having that little reset, that little reset moment. Sorry, I got a
Yeah.
little tickle.
Well, I don't know if you could. If I had multiple things going there, but that little clip from Star Trek. She's
Little
got
Scotty?
she's got her second win now. So second win is why we're bumbling about all this stuff. That's the idiom du jour.
I get that second wind. Some like when I break my first wind, I need then I definitely need a second one. Yeah.
You know, it's funny. You just said before you got into the joke, you said that second winsome, and it reminded me that what we do is we play a game called Riddle Link, and you know what I don't have?
2 riddles today.
2 riddles.
That's okay. I got a pair. I got you.
I could.
It's okay. We're good. We'll just do 2
I
today.
feel like I got to go get a pair.
You got a pair. It's all good.
All right, we'll leave it. I feel bad. bad.
Things happen. Getting that second win. I was going through on like some second wind related things to start off the year.
Okay.
And it's so dark and it's not amusing at all, but it was interesting. They were saying that it's happened twice already this year, that a bouncy castle has been picked up by a gust of wind and like killed children.
Like kids are in it?
Kids are in it. Picked up a bouncy castle, killed this kid.
Okay, I understand, bouncy castle getting picked up by a gust of wind. That makes sense to me, but with people in it?
I know. How many times have we run a bouncy castle and you don't tether that thing down?
No.
Like you're just like, it's so heavy, it's not coming off the ground. They're heavy.
Are they like full size like that? Because there's backyard version ones.
That part I'm not sure about. I'm not sure. Yeah. I'm like,
But I mean, it makes sense. Like I've seen trampolines take off.
but the most fascinating
Frame and all.
Sure, there you go. Just catches the second wind right. The most fascinating part that I found in that thing, because obviously it's terrible kid getting doing a little personal Wizard of Oz situation and then comes back down. But the comments from people on we should ban bouncy castles was the most highest ranked comment. Most thumbs up comment was it's
Ban
about time we ban those things.
Stop the fun.
I was like,
How about we just don't
baffled.
inflate them in windstorms? Isn't that a...
I'm trying to think about how many things get wrecked with like, you can't ski here now. I remember going to Mexico and you used to be able to like climb the pyramids of like the Mayan pyramids area. You'd go to Chichen Itza. You used to be able to climb that thing, and they're like, it's really steep. And there's a big like chain like that you hold on to when you go up. But then they just like, we're not going to do it anymore. We've had too many incidences.
Wow. So
I'm like, this is awesome. And so you take enough situations though, and you don't get to do it anymore.
See,
so you can't
that's
climb.
It's because people sue. Like if you signed I don't know, did you have to sign a thing?
I don't remember, but
because that should be a thing. Like I mean, this plays into so many areas where I think if you want to harm yourself, you should. Which sounds terrible to say.
That got out there.
I don't mean intentionally, but if you ban that kind of thing, then you ban motorcycles.
Right.
Like
and they're really fun.
Not even the helmet, like the helmet law, which I have. I somewhat understand the helmet law, not because you as a motorcycle rider need a helmet. If you choose not to, I think that should be your right. But the way accidents and insurance works, the person responsible for hitting you,
right, sure,
you could have so much more damage that is on their dime. So I understand the insurance companies vying for helmet laws, but like this is a tourist attraction that is like, I'd like to climb that. Well, that's on you.
How many bouncy castles have you gone on or seen kids in, or like, yeah, go play, kids?
Totally.
And it's just like, you don't even think about the idea that it could just get like sucked up and then like shot off in a gust of wind,
similar to
the radar.
To the bouncy castle. Although it makes sense. Before I tell my story, it does make sense. Like I've just had to walk like a sheet of like 4 feet by 8 foot sheet of
foam,
styrofoam across a parking lot. And it's not that windy, but I can hardly keep it straight because it's its own sail, right?
Right, yeah.
And so wind is magical. The story I was going to tell, I did hear a news, this is years and years ago, somewhere down south America, where it made me nervous, like we weren't recording all this.
No, from my particular angle, there was like all I see is glare.
Oh.
Like it looks like there's nothing on there right now.
This woman who, hot summer day, went to buy a wading pool and put it in the back of her pickup and let her kids ride in it.
Okay.
And the wind picked it up.
Wading pool, that sounds like a death trap.
So,
in the back of a vehicle.
So as stupid as that is, are people going to go, yep, we should ban wading pools and pickup trucks?
I think so.
Like, it's not, hey, we should...
We already have laws for
we should stipulate the tethering of these bouncy castles.
You can't put people in the back of a pickup truck. That's not new. But I guess attaching them to like a parasail, because like if you're in Cancun and you're in the water, that's pretty fun. Yeah. And so if they could do that, I guess the real problem would be like if you're doing it from the back. Like I'm just thinking an Alabama kind of situation, and you're in the back of a pickup truck,
right?
And then next thing you know, you're sucked up into power lines because you were parasailing behind the pickup. It's like, this sounds so fun for just a minute.
Like, where's the line though? Because I tow my kids as children and young adults behind the Jeep in snow.
Oh yeah, we've done that.
So yeah, we've done that. Where's the line? You know what I mean? Like,
if it's like fun, they don't want you doing it in general.
Yeah.
It's like if you're enjoying yourself too much, it's like illegal.
Like I can understand if you're doing something that this could harm someone else, you should stop. Like, I'm only having fun lighting the siding on fire of my house.
Right.
But, well, no, you can't, because you might light your neighbors. Okay, fine, that should be against the law. But if my house was on 40 acres and a moat surrounded it, I should be allowed to burn my house. So as long as you're not harming someone else.
That's a tricky proposition. If there's any, because you could think of a lot of things. Like if I could say that about like smoking or getting drunk or.
Yeah, so smoking, there's laws because of secondhand smoke, not
Sure.
because of the damage it did to individuals. There was lawsuits over the addiction side of nicotine and tobacco, but yeah, I don't know.
Interesting.
I don't know. I'm a little more free will-y for everyone.
You just get like in Markland, which is why I think you should run for office or something like that.
Do you?
Yeah, because that country, you just get to do whatever you felt like, as long as you're not bugging anybody.
Within reason, yeah.
So what would be your reason though?
For what law?
Because if there's clearly something in your mind that feels like you would be impinging on someone else's, like your fun messes with other people's fun. So it's like you're free to do what you want, But is there like, do I have to pay for it if you go into a
Right,
piece of
so-
foam in the back or the pool in the back of the pickup truck, and
So
then
if
you slam into the
If
ground?
I hurt someone else or by harming myself, I cost you,
Yeah.
then it shouldn't be allowed. But if you want to
So if I have to pay for you to get your legs put back on because you had them driven into the ground,
why
so
would
hard,
you have to pay for it though?
I don't know, because we communally help one another. That's part of our system.
You're talking about like social medical kind of situation?
Yeah, I pick up for you on this tab, and you pick up a bit for me on the next tab, so that otherwise it's like you get no legs now.
Okay, but now that's a whole other. Wow, what's our idiom today? Second wind. Getting a second wind. Now but that's the whole thing. Like,
If you had no legs,
there are people who are destroying their bodies through whether it's smoking or drugs or alcohol or food.
okay.
I'm paying for their medical.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. So
Right.
like you're going around with the pickup truck.
So, but that brings up
Giving
the
people free
conversation of
rides
whether
into space.
social medical is even fair.
Well, you don't believe in that then, because that would be me impacting you.
What?
For me to pay for things that you have done.
Right. So you pay your own medical bills.
So you just think people wouldn't make any risks if you knew, or if they did, it's like, oh, I guess you just don't get your legs now. Because in which case I would pay for you differently if I have to subsidize your no-leggedness.
There are people missing limbs because of their own stupidity.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't mind chipping in, though, to help you have legs, because I think that helps us all.
Yeah, but I think if I lost my legs in a car accident, or if I lost my legs because of a funny, obscure bug bit into my kneecaps and they were severed, and
Crazy.
yeah, termites took my kneecaps out while I was sleeping, but there's my legs at the bottom. I could just have them reattached. It's not anything I intentionally did. So, like, that's where the medical system should kick in. But, like...
So this kid who decides to use the thing, and it turns into, like, a parasail, and she flies off, and then something bad happens to her. I don't mind paying to have Humpty Dumpty reassembled. In fact...
To help her kids. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, even if it was you. Maybe part of it is that you should be required to rename yourself Humpty Dumpty if you have to get reassembled by someone else. And then people will know that you're that guy.
Yeah.
You have to include either the word Humpty or Dumpty in your name. You're Mark Dumpty. And then people will know it's like, oh, like you're the reason why we have socialized medicine.
All right, we should probably get back to what we're talking about today.
Mark Dumpty.
So here, let's get this started with this.
Oh, I hit the wall. This is so painful. Hey, I got my second wind.
So second win, getting a second win. That's what we're actually talking about. You hit the wall in the afternoon. That's literally the metaphorical use of getting your second wind, because it's not like you need to catch your breath if you're sitting at your office, at your desk, or in your cubicle, or wherever you work.
I guess it would depend on like if you feel like that emotional energy or those things, like because if you can take some calls that are just like devastating, you can have a devastating phone call and feel like
That
you need
literally exhausts you.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. You can be exhausted by that.
yeah, for sure.
But sometimes, so that's like mid-work day. But do you ever do it late at night where you're like, oh, I should go to bed, and then, I got a second wind.
If you screw up the window,
Yeah.
yeah, there's a window,
The second window.
the second window,
It just
not
got
just the first window.
the second window.
Well, yeah, when you watch that, and the next thing you know, it's 4 a.m.
Yeah.
and then you hate yourself.
That's me all the time. Yeah. Where I'm like, 10 o'clock, 10:30, I'm pretty tired. I
It's
got a
been
couple
so
things
boring.
to do, and then it's like, I'm good till 2 in the morning, and
It's
then
been
I'm
so
mad.
boring right now with like, I don't know if people are feeling the little extra at homeness with the Ronas, or if it's just like the post Christmas come down. But people are just like socked in, I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
totally.
so it's like
They need a little parasailing in the back of a pickup.
Bedtime's at 10.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I probably should do that because my mornings are early, but I pay for it every single morning.
Little Groundhog Day.
Ugh.
Disgusting.
Alarm goes off at 6, and yeah, and you get to that mathematics game in your head the night before where you're like, what's that? 5 hours off? I'm fine with 5 hours. Oh, it's below 5 hours now. If I see a 4, does your phone do that when you set the alarm and it says,
Are you still?
it tells you like set 4 hours and 38 minutes.
Right.
Like, oh, it's under 5. It's under 5 hours.
Why bother? So there's I guess it never gets discussed your first wind. Like,
oh, interesting.
Yeah, like, is that the morning? Like, when you wake up, is that the beginning of your first wind?
I mean, I don't know what I do in my
3
sleep.
o'clock is your second wind.
I don't know what I do in my sleep, but I know that there's a good first wind when I first wake up. I'm assuming that's my first.
And the second wind. So you got your wake up first wind. You got your 3 p.m. second wind. Somewhere about, for you, I'm guessing 10 11 o'clock. You got your third wind?
I guess that's a third wind.
Your third wind?
Yeah.
It sounds like just the constant spinning of like wind, which so maybe you should do OnlyFans as something that you should do, like, so that's like the constant movement of wind.
I should do OnlyFans. Fans only? What is it called?
Yeah, so something that it's just the constant movement of wind, where you go from one wind to the second wind to the third wind. Yeah. I don't know.
Then you never have your first wind again.
Well, does it come back?
Do you ever have a first wind again?
If it was your first?
You always remember your first wind.
I'll never forget my first wind.
Okay, this is the worst or longest amount of rambling I think ever. We're way more than halfway through already, and we haven't
see the time.
We haven't even talked about here.
Oh my
Let's move
goodness!
this closer.
Okay, we should get into some actual things. Oh, it's half over.
It's more than half over.
My goodness.
Okay, I don't care if it's half over. Let's go long. I got a game. I've upped the ante. I might. We'll be quicker at the back end because we have no.
I got to tell you about a quick one.
Okay.
So during Christmas, and we're at church and it's a candlelight service, and in the same vein of the not being allowed to climb the pyramid again, lady inadvertently, in correcting a child during the candlelight service, accidentally sets her hair on fire.
Is this what?
I'm saying hypothetically.
Oh, okay.
That in reality this happened.
Okay.
Okay. So now, if in terms of like if these things happen, should you get rid of candles out of the candlelight service?
Oh, tons of people would say that. People are saying that about candlelight services without people lighting their hair on fire, that it's just a fire hazard, and so much.
Am I just
so
old school that I like a good fire hazard like that?
I think all of it is dumb.
Right, because in Markland,
you can do that. You can have candlelight services.
And you can set yourself on fire,
100%.
and it's on you.
Yeah, but when you're in a room full of 600 people,
yeah,
and
because you got to be considerate.
Well, I guess
in case the person beside you could have like emphysema or some other thing, and you're filling their lungs with like burnt hair. That's just rude at that point. Right?
I do remember band class in school, jazz band. We were standing in the back, and the drummer had nothing to do. We were working on sectionals, and the drummer came back around. He was standing behind the trumpets, and I saw him come, so I took a step back and watched. I'm in the row with trumpet players, and he takes out a lighter from his pocket and just holds it to the back of the head of one of the trumpet players. Just one of those stupid
He set a kid's hair on fire?
One of those stupid teenagery things where all he wanted was them to go, "Ooh, it's hot." But he lit his hair on fire.
Wow.
Meanwhile, this guy, Ken, is playing the trumpet. His hair's lit on fire, and Scott, the drummer, panics, feels bad, whacks him in the back of the head to put the fire out, and
smashes the trumpet into his teeth.
The teeth of the mouthpiece of the trumpet. Nothing bad there, but
wow.
could have been.
That would have been insult to injury.
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway,
second win.
Okay,
you got a game. Okay, we got a game.
I'm going to give you. Usually, I give you 3 choices, but you nail it almost every week, so I'm giving you 4.
Okay.
And I'm hoping that makes it a little more difficult.
I pre-warn that I may have stumbled across something, so I'm not sure if it's not part of it or not. But I'm pre-telling you.
All right. Well, this is pre-Origins reality, pre-Origins game. Here we go. Number 1. It's from the early 1800s, first used in sports when a competitor, human or equine, comes from behind to win because of an actual physiological change in the body.
Wow. Okay.
For animals.
Okay.
Animals in sports, including humans.
Is equine
horses?
Yeah, okay.
Number 2. 15th century fox hunting, when the hounds would lose a scent but then pick it up again a second time.
Oh, man. Okay. Whoa.
Number 3.
I like that one.
The beginning of sailing as a sport in Holland, 17th century, when a sailboat would be dead in the water and seemingly going to lose the race, but suddenly finds its sails filled again and back in the race.
Okay.
And number 4. railroad grade pocket watches.
Oui.
That was a tongue twister.
Thank you.
Railroad grade pocket watches,
Christine, thank you.
which are typically wound once a day. A more accurate clock would get a second wind. The pronunciation was lost because of print. When newspapers were talking about these railroad pocket watches. These watches and this saying dates back to the early mid-1800s. So we got
bad. No.
recap.
So I got a fifth.
So the one you looked up isn't even in this?
No. I don't have a clue what's going on right now because these are all really good. Yeah, these are all really good. I actually really like that Fox one.
Yeah.
And so it's so good that it's either it or you're just such a good liar.
I'm a pretty good liar, don't you think?
Yeah, you can pull that off. I'm going to go Village Idiom children. Lock your answers in now. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to go 2 with the fox.
Fox hunt.
What does the fox say?
I said some words. Where'd they go? Where'd they go? No one can know. I turned around and looked behind. Those words came from another mind. Origin.
All right, well, let's talk about the word wind in this idiom first.
Oh, no. That has nothing to do with foxes.
We're getting there. We're going to get there. I haven't revealed the answer yet. Why is it why is it even second wind when you get a boost of energy? Why the word wind? So wind used to be a synonym for breath, but which is not a big leap for a synonym. But it's kind of archaic in its usage, and it's only remained to this day in a couple of ways. One is like you run up the flight of the stairs, and you're like, whew, feeling winded.
Winded, out of breath.
Or you're talking for a very long time.
Long-winded. Okay, yep.
So that's why the word
breath.
Wind is even involved in this. The second wind is an actual physical phenomenon during hard exercise where you suddenly stop feeling exhausted and instead find a new burst of strength. It's is used metaphorically for non-exercise related things like our workday sitting at a desk, and it is used about sleep, like we're talking about when you're ready to fall asleep but you're fully awake again. So yeah, I just realized that whole section that I just rattled off, my notes are in here twice. So there is no scientific consensus about what causes the second wind. So most, if you just Google second wind, almost every reference nowadays, this is not the answer of origins, nowadays has to do with long, like marathon runners.
Okay.
So they hit a wall, they get past it. And we're going to get into the science behind that a little bit, which is kind of interesting.
Cool.
Actually, we'll just go. One theory of it is that there's an actual biological shift in the way your cells are handling oxygen. So the first part, your body's just saying stop, stop, stop. Like that first section.
I don't even know if there's a
couple
second
hundred
part.
meters of running.
It's all saying no.
Is your body saying stop?
Lactic acid
buildup.
Yep.
It actually hurts. It's
Yep.
painful. And then there's the idea that the brain releases a burst of endorphins, which is true. Your brain can do that, but as natural painkillers to get rid of that. So it's less about a second wind. It's like, okay, the pain is gone. I'm good. And it's psychological second burst of energy because the painkillers block that lactic acid pain. So let's get into it. The origins, 1807 in sports.
Oh.
It's not far off of the runner's model right now. So this is the first time in print that I could find related to sports. The Code of Health and Longevity, concise view of the principles calculated for the preservation of health and the attainment of long life. How's that for a title?
Wow.
Here it is. The quote is, a curious fact is that in foot racing, for the first 200 or 300 yards, one feels very much distressed. After that, a second wind comes, which lasts until one is spent with bodily fatigue. So related to sports, it started being used literally about that burst of energy. Here's a great one from the National Register, August 1815. Excuse me, this is a newspaper recap of the night before boxing match between Eels and Scroggins. So I'm going to fast forward because it literally has round 1 and 1 sentence, round 2, 1 sentence. So starting at round 9, both Eels and Scroggins weak, closed, and fell together. Round 10, Eels in the rally cross-buttocked him against the ropes. Round 11, I don't know what cross-buttocked means.
I had an idea.
In boxing?
I don't like it.
Cross-buttocked. Punched in the butt?
A butt punch? That doesn't sound good.
No. What is a cross buttock? We got to look that up later.
Okay.
We don't have,
I don't
we don't
think we
have Google
should. I don't
nearby
think we should be
anymore.
looking it up. To be honest with you,
Probably.
it's probably terrible. Add the word
Okay.
Urban Dictionary.
Round 11. Still high in blood, Eels tipped his man one in the kidney with the right and touched his canister with the left. What does touched his canister mean?
Again, don't look it up.
Okay. With the left, ultimately knocked him down. Round 12. Eels win short, met and threw his man in the clothes. Round 13. Much sparring, Eels fell under the weak. Round 14. Scroggins knocked his man down without ceremony and got his second wind.
Wow.
So
He crossed his buttock with a canister. I hope.
touched his canister.
Wow.
So the reason I added human or equine is it actually... There's tons of materials talking about horses getting their second wind, and this is a part of the science behind it between horse racing or horse riding at all and boxing. So this is from The Complete Farrier and British Sportsman, containing a systematic inquiry into the structure and animal economy of the... What are with these long titles? I don't understand. But anyway, 1816. Here it is. Go as quick as I can. The principal distress which hunting horses experience is during the first burst, when the hounds generally... Oh, this is fox hunting on horseback. When the hounds generally run at their greatest speed, but as soon as they begin to sweat, their breathing is relieved by the vessels of the skin becoming relaxed and allowing a free circulation of the blood from the lungs to the surface of the body. It is prudent, therefore, if possible, to spare a horse until this perspiration takes place, after which he will be better able to go through the chase than under other circumstances. It is well known amongst boxers that they will have what they call a second wind, which is analogous to this second wind in horses, and it's obtained the same way, by sweating. So in sports, you're burning, you're dying. As soon as your body starts to sweat, there's a relief in the cardiovascular system.
Did I tell you about the time I biked to Victoria?
No, but I've biked to Victoria.
I'm like in terrible shape, but I'm cheap. And so the idea was that I'm going to save like whatever it was at the time, $25 each way or something. And I'm just going to bike to Victoria. I'm going to throw my bike on the ferry across, save the fee of the car.
Yep.
And do it. I've hit that wall in life. That was one of the times.
In Burnaby?
No, I made it to Victoria, spent my time. On the way back, I experienced jello legs. Like as an incapable of holding myself up thing. It was crazy. So it's an actual I didn't really relieve myself.
You're just muscles quit.
Yeah, it's just jello legged. Yeah, so that whole but I'd gone past second wind. I was on third, fourth wind, and just there's nothing left. I'm like this is it. Jello legs.
That's what happened. Somebody or did you home?
No, I pulled over, sat down for a half an hour till I get something back.
Till you got your second wind.
Or third or fourth or whatever it was. Yeah.
Huh.
Jello legs.
Well, the oldest in print version of it that I could find that was a figurative usage of second wind was in 1823, a review of Joseph Lowe, The Present State of England, and it says this. The war with France began in 1793, and though in order to get a second wind, as the boxers say, which I think is interesting because they're pointing the origins to boxing, in order to get a second wind, as the boxers say, a truce was concluded in Amiens in 1802, which was called a peace, yet as both parties had obtained glory as well as suffered losses, as neither was exhausted. They came to the scratch again in 1803 and renewed the conflict with unabated vigor. So it's not about sports.
Okay.
It's not even about a person. It's about the war itself. But it does say, as the boxers say. So origins, sports, boxing, human and horses.
So my fifth one.
Yeah.
Okay. I came across the phrase Ventus Secundus, which sounds like a Harry Potter spell.
It really does.
Ventus Secundus.
What would Ventus Secundus conjure up in Harry Potter? A strong wind.
Ventus Secundus.
A strong wind.
Okay, so the Ventus, the wind, Secundus, a Latin nautical term. Rather than literal second wind, it means a rear wind. Sailors wait all day until they catch a Ventus Secundus, and then they can set sail.
I never came across that at all.
A rear wind. It was obscure because I tried to not look for things, and this had come up through like some weird Quora type, like
Right.
whatever. And so I'm like, oh, that's interesting.
Wow,
Ventus
no,
secundus.
I never stumbled across that. If you look up,
So a rear wind.
yeah,
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of goofy as opposed to like a headwind. Yeah, it was the second
Well,
wind.
in sailing, you don't want the
ve-
headwind.
The Ventus secundus. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I don't even know if it's true.
Well, I never came across it. If you get into second wind in Wikipedia, you will get into some serious science. Like, it's no joke. Like, this is what second wind is. And it's like
Like it's an actual thing.
Yeah.
Your
and
body's
it's-
kicking
and
into a new gear.
Yeah, and it's close to, but in a lot more scientific, heavy words. Metabolic switching, lactic acid,
Yeah.
blah, 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 of what we talked about. And
Okay.
I really like the theory of the sweating, that once you start sweating, your body shifts.
Yeah,
I think that makes a lot of sense.
sure.
But not
Second
the
wind.
figurative use that we have it. I don't know why we
Fair
suddenly
enough,
get a
man.
burst of energy.
We are out of time minutes ago.
Oh, quitter.
And sorry, we got rambling there about nonsense. And so now we're in the end trying to jam in a couple riddles. But fortunately, we only have two.
Yeah.
So we're good to go.
We
So
should be
we're
good.
saving time,
All
basically.
right. Well, Riddling is a game we like to play that takes a two-part trivia-based question, requires a two-part but overlapping answer, overlapping by word or words or what have you. So, for example, last week, if you listened along with us, would have been our idiom fall off the wagon, which was a fun one. We left you with this little ditty. To go back to drinking follows the thrill of victory in the wide world of sports. Do you remember that? Did you get that? To go back to drinking follows the thrill of victory in the wide world of sports. So,
Fall off the wagon.
do you know what comes after the line?
Wagony of defeat.
That's it.
Oh, good.
Fall off the wagon and agony of the feet. The correct answer is fall off the wagony of defeat.
Very good. It's very clever. Well, I've got a couple,
I've got none.
so let's do mine. I got to do one for you and then one for our village idiom children.
Sounds good.
Okay, here we go. This preparing for Christmas liturgy. This preparing for Christmas liturgy is a Latin second wind.
This preparing for Christmas liturgy is a what? Is a Latin
Is
second
a
wind?
Latin
So
second wind.
Ventus secundus. Adventus secundus?
Adventus secundus.
Nice, that's great. For some reason, pre-Christmas liturgy, I couldn't get the night before Christmas out of my head.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You get something locked in. It's
Yeah.
weird that way. Okay, you can reach out to us to answer this second one, Village-idiomate children, kids.
The grown-ups are talking right now.
And so we would love to hear from you on Instagram at the.village.idiom or email
It sounds
us,
like you
the
can reach
Village
us
Idiom.
at the dot. Like, the word the doesn't count there, but you need the word the. You can find us at the dot village.
If, just finding ways to know that it bothers you, it just actually warms me.
It bothers everyone.
Okay.
We get comments where they'll capitalize the word dot instead of just putting a period.
So,
Anyway, continue.
as I continue, you can email us at thevillageidiompodcast at gmail.com, or whether it's any of those other soul-sucking social media services at 3 minutes gone. Okay, here we go. Village-idiomate children, chime in.
Chime in.
Finding your strength again for the 10th version of the Legends of Zelda franchise.
Oh my goodness.
Finding your strength again for the 10th version of the Legends of Zelda franchise. And that is 3 minutes gone.
Nicely done.
Well, there you go.
That'll go over well. I know several chimer inner listeners who are going to jump all over that
Yeah,
one.
it might require a little bit of interwebbing for you GameCube
If you're not playing,
aficionados.
if you're not a player.
Yeah,
If you're
there
not,
you go.
Yeah.
That. Well, it's fun putting together this little ditty, and we have a special guest coming up next week, so we're excited. We're excited about that.
Yep.
Make sure you
First
listen
time
in.
celebrity.
First time for 2022. It's going to be a good year. It's freedom, baby. I'm Skinny.
Jurassic Park.
And the
That's 3 minutes gone.